All right, so today we're really diving deep into Bitcoin ETFs.
Sounds exciting.
Well, I think so, but it's one of those things, right? People hear Bitcoin ETFs and they're like, oh, that sounds kind of boring.
Yeah.
But we've got all these articles, all this research, and trust me, this is way more interesting than it sounds on the surface.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating world once you start to peel back the layers.
Exactly. We're talking about Bitcoin. Everybody knows about Bitcoin. It's like the digital gold rush.
Right.
And then ETFs, which a lot of people understand are like this bridge between traditional finance and this whole new frontier.
Yeah, they're a way to get exposure to something new without having to fully dive into the deep end.
Exactly. And we're going to try to figure out how it all connects, what it means, why it even matters to you.
Yeah, because it does matter.
It really does. And to help us unpack all of this, I've got our expert with us.
Happy to be here.
So you already know the deal with Bitcoin ETFs, right? We're not talking about going out and buying a whole Bitcoin. It's like grabbing a slice of Bitcoin pizza instead of the whole pie.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're getting a piece of the action.
Yeah.
But the thing that really blew my mind, and we're going to dig into this, is back in 2021 when that first U.S. Bitcoin ETF launched.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't just another day at the market.
No, not at all.
It was like the floodgates opened.
It really was. The ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, ticker symbol BIEO, launched in October of 2021, and it hit $1 billion in assets managed in just 2 days.
2 days?
2 days.
That's insane.
Absolutely. To put that into perspective, usually for an ETF to be considered successful, they want to hit $1 billion in assets under management. Maybe after a year, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Bio did it practically overnight.
I mean, that's unheard of, right? Especially for an ETF.
Almost unheard of. The thing about Bido is it smashed all previous records for ETFs. They hit $1 billion in 2 days. You have to understand the speed, the momentum, it was unprecedented, and it sent a message.
To the entire financial world.
Yes, it said Bitcoin is here to stay. It was no longer this fringe asset that people were speculating on. This was a sign.
So it wasn't just like the early adopters. Like
Right.
this was
institutional demand. We're talking hedge funds, asset managers, people, used to dealing with billions of dollars. They were finally taking the leap.
Wow. It's like this whole changing of the guard almost, right? These
Yeah.
big institutions, these big players are finally like, okay, maybe we should pay attention to this crypto thing.
Right.
And speaking of big players, one of the articles you sent, it was that panel discussion
Oh, yeah.
with the experts from State Street, Coinbase, Canaccord Genuity.
That was a good one.
That one really got me thinking because they were talking about how traditional finance is adapting
Yeah, they really got into the weeds on that.
to this whole crypto revolution.
It's a brave new world out there.
It really is. And Nan from State Street, she was talking about how they're trying to bridge the gap, I think was the phrase she used.
Yeah, bridge the gap.
Between traditional finance and digital assets. And they actually created this thing called LedgerLink. And it's literally like building a bridge between these two worlds.
Well, and think about it. State Street's not some small fry.
No.
They're a giant in the financial world.
Huge.
And for them to start devoting resources, building infrastructure specifically for digital assets like Bitcoin, that says something.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a huge signal to everyone else.
They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're saying, this is the future.
Yeah, they're placing their bets.
And then you've got Coinbase on the other side, which is, a powerhouse in the crypto space.
Absolutely, they're huge.
And they're managing, they said, over $100 billion in assets.
Yeah, 100 billion with a B.
I can't even fathom that amount of money.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
It's just numbers on a screen at that point.
It is, but those numbers represent something really important.
What's that?
Trust. You've got these institutional investors, they want in on Bitcoin, but they need a safe place to keep it.
Right.
That's where Coinbase comes in. They're like the trusted vault.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you've got the demand from institutions, you've got the infrastructure being built, and you've got the custody piece figured out.
It's all coming together.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's no surprise that Bitcoin ETFs have just been exploding in popularity.
Well, yeah, and one of the articles said that the most successful one hit $10 billion in assets in just 7 weeks.
7 weeks. I know, it's mind-blowing. And you know what? It's not even just about the money. It's about what it represents.
Exactly. The speed, the momentum, that's what tells the story. It shows that confidence in Bitcoin is through the roof.
So we're way past the early adopters now, right?
This is like hedge funds, pension funds. I even saw something about sovereign wealth funds.
You name it, they're all getting in on the action.
Hmm.
And there's a good reason for that,
Why is that?
diversification. These big investors, they're looking for ways to protect themselves,
Yeah.
right? And Bitcoin, they call it a non-correlated asset.
What does that even mean?
It means it doesn't move in the same way as traditional stocks and bonds.
So it's like if the market's doing its thing,
Right.
Bitcoin might be doing something completely different.
Exactly. It's like if traditional investments are zigging, Bitcoin could be zagging.
So it's a hedge.
Exactly.
Mm.
A way to spread out the risk.
I'm starting to see why this is so appealing to these big players.
It's all about managing risk and maximizing returns, right?
Right. But I have to ask, are we talking about like a whole new financial system here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It kind of feels like it.
It does, doesn't it? It's like, are we witnessing the birth of something totally new?
It's a little bit terrifying, but also exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
It's like we're standing on the edge of something huge. We're trying to take this new thing, Bitcoin, and fit it into our old system with ETFs and all that.
A square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. And the question is, will it work? Or will we need to come up with something entirely new?
And this goes back to Nan's point about LedgerLink, right?
All right.
Where he was basically saying Bitcoin doesn't need ETFs to succeed.
Yeah, Bitcoin can do its own thing.
But it just makes it easier for the traditional finance world to stomach.
It's a way to dip their toes in the water,
It's wild, right? Like, we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about ETFs, but it's really so much bigger than that.
Oh, absolutely.
This is potentially changing the whole game, like how we even think about money and investing.
Yeah, it's a fundamental shift.
It feels like this massive tug of war between the old way and the new way.
The centralized and the decentralized.
Exactly. And no one knows who's going to win.
That's the exciting part. We're watching history unfold in real time.
No crystal ball predictions here.
Nope.
But for someone like me, trying to wrap my head around all this, what's the key takeaway? What does it all mean?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this is more than just a tech story.
Right.
Bitcoin ETFs are a sign of something much bigger happening. It's about how we think about money, about who controls it, about how we invest. And that's something that affects everyone, not just Wall Street.
Yeah, it's like whether you're invested in Bitcoin or not, you're going to feel the ripples of this.
Exactly. So pay attention, be informed, and be ready for a wild ride. Because this is far from over.
It's just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Well, on that note, I think we've done our deep dive on Bitcoin ETFs for today.
I think so too.
Hopefully this got everyone thinking, maybe sparked some of your own aha moments.
I hope so.
But this is just one small piece of a much larger puzzle. So keep that curiosity going. Keep asking those big questions because we'll be back to dive into even more fascinating topics soon. Until then, happy investing.